is where MAGA comes to talk. Oh, man. You know, this team of rivals is a real thing, and it's something I never thought I'd see in this country ever again. The politics have gotten so divisive in our country over the past however long. We never see Republicans and Democrats come together for much of anything. If Republicans say the sky is blue, Democrats say it's not, right? I mean, that's just how bad it is. And now here we have this team of rivals that President Trump has been working on for a while to organize with RFK Jr. to save our country. This is just a beautiful thing. And yes, welcome. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. Okay, my name is Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. My next stream, I'll be on the radio in a couple of hours, and I'll be taking live calls. Right now, I'm just finished my show prep, and just wanted to talk to you guys just for a little bit. Welcome. I'll have some more coffee. This is my second cup. Oh man, can never have enough coffee, right? I've got to increase my water intake, or I'll be in trouble. So this team of rivals is it's just an incredible thing that has happened. You know, President Trump, what he's done is amazing. You know, if you watch my live chat on my streams here on YouTube, you see people from the different countries in the UK, Australia, Canada. And what President Trump has done since he came down the escalator is unify the English speaking world, because the entire English speaking world, we've been taken over by the sellouts of our governments into this globalism crap, which is just a big scam for them to get rich off of taxpayer dollars. And now what Trump is doing is organizing Americans of different political backgrounds, completely different political backgrounds, against these evil forces that are looking to bring down our country. And, you know, you've heard so many times over the last few years that the Democrat Party today is not the Democrat Party of President Kennedy or Bobby Kennedy. How many times have you heard that? That if President Kennedy were alive today, he'd be a Republican. And there's a lot of truth to that. If you go back to President Kennedy, he was a lifelong member of the NRA. He was very conservative by today's standards. And the Democrat Party has been taken over by these wackadoodle anarchist, defund the police. I mean, that's anarchy. Hamas terrorist supporting people, and the list goes on. I mean, you know, and of course, this border invasion where they're replacing the American people with South American people is going on. And yes, the art of the deal, Shawna, the art of the political deal. And people in this country, I've been talking about this a lot this weekend because it's a concept and an idea that's been lost. The way that it worked until really recent years is Republicans and Democrats disagreed on big issues, right? Abortion, gun control, affirmative action, which has now become DEI, didn't earn it, you know, and a bunch of issues like that. You know, we had divisions on those issues and others, and those are important issues and they're big issues. But we had agreements on the big picture of things, right? The American way of life, freedom of speech, American democracy, all of these things. We agreed on the concept of the United States, and we had a shared culture and a shared language, a common language. Who didn't think we had a southern border until a few years ago, right? You know, so we had a lot of things. Really, our culture, the American culture and the American way of life was a thing that we agreed on, even though we disagreed on a lot of these issues, okay? And really, it's a time right now to put those issues aside, get our country back together as the American people. I mean, Is the Democrat Party representative of the American people? I don't think so. I mean, here they've nominated a woman who was raised by two Marxists. She grew up not in the United States, but in Canada, a socialist country, with all due respect to our Canadian viewers out there. I'm sorry, Canada is a socialist country. You don't have a constitution like we have with the Bill of Rights. You don't have freedom of speech and expression in Canada, like we have in the United States. That's her worldview, and they've nominated her without a single vote. Kamala Harris does not even understand American history or American culture, which has been completely lost. And when Robert Kennedy came out Friday night at the Trump rally, and that crowd, that full house, and that arena that Kamala had to put curtains up and hide the empty seats, was filled to the rafters. And our MAGA brothers and sisters stood up and gave Robert Kennedy a standing ovation. That was out of respect for him, what he was doing, his father, and his uncle. And we've got to put these other issues are important. Don't misunderstand me. I mean, these Democrats are in favor of a lot of bad things, but they agree that we're a country, a sovereign nation with sovereign borders and a common language. And once we get this team of rivals together and we drain the swamp, drain the deep state, and the Democrats can get their party back from these radical terrorist-supporting anarchists that are owned by China and other terrible people, then we can get back to debating these other issues, by the way, that we Republicans are winning on. Now, Fuku there, the spamming of the chat, one warning. That's all you get. Okay? Yeah, Michael Robinson, he's talking about, this was something that I was talking about yesterday. Was it Portland? In Oregon, they're giving $30,000 in a tax subsidy grant for first-time home buyers towards their down payment. The only problem is U.S. citizens are not eligible. You have to be a non-U.S. citizen. What the hell is that about? That's a prime example of what this team of rivals is out to stop. We're about to lose our country. These other issues where the Democrats and the Republicans disagree on are important issues, but they don't mean much if we don't have a country, right? That's the way it is. And, Robert Kennedy, what he is doing is totally in line with his uncle. There's a very important book that I read when I was in middle school that used to be required reading in this country. They probably don't require it anymore. But President Kennedy, when he was in the Senate, wrote a book called Profiles in Courage. Any of you read Profiles in Courage? It's probably not on the reading list anymore in school. It's too American. And it's written by Senator John F. Kennedy, and everyone should read it. And what Profiles in Courage is about, it's about senators who took a position that they thought was right against what their party establishment was supporting, and how they stood up against the party establishment and did what was right. And that's what Robert Kennedy Jr. just did. He has stood up against his party, even his own wife, for what he thinks is right. And it's pretty damn brave of him to do it. I mean, he's got his own family out there attacking him. Mm-hmm. Exactly. There was a TV series on Profiles in Courage? I don't know about that. Maybe. I don't know. I missed that. Maybe a documentary or something. I was going to get the audiobook. I haven't read that book since I was a kid, but I looked up the audiobook for Profiles in Courage, and it's narrated by JFK Jr. Yeah, Profiles in Chinese. That's Tim Waltz's book. Right? I mean, look at how dangerous Tim Waltz is that Kamala picked. But I stand by what I've said for quite some time. I think the Democrat Party has accepted and maybe even made the decision to sacrifice the presidency this time around, that they know they can't win. And the Democrats, even Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom, I think, are aware enough to understand that their party has been taken over by lunatics, un-American lunatics that are going to destroy the party. And I think that on some level, even psycho Gavin Newsom and insane Nancy Pelosi want to purge the Democrat Party of these lunatic, radical, revolutionary anarchists that have taken over. I do believe they want to do that on a certain level. They're not as active about it as Robert Kennedy is, but I think they still want them out because, if anything, it's a threat to their power and influence. If these people are allowed to take over the party, Gavin Newsom, who Nancy's trying to hand the party over to, he's out. Hmm. Oh, yeah, Trump is going to have a massive female vote. In most households, women handle the household expenses, right? Grocery bills and everything. No one knows more than America's women the price of inflation that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have forced upon us, and they don't even care. They don't even care. Kamala Harris, I'll do this on day one, this. And what President Trump says is so spot on the money. Day one for Kamala was 3.5 years ago. Why doesn't she just do something now, right? If she really wanted to do something, why not now? Because she's not going to do any of these things. And you know what? Everyone knows it. Now, the question is, you guys can let me know in the chat if you're watching live, or in the comments if you're not watching live. Does Kamala Harris know that she's going to get creamed by Trump? Does she know it, or does she think she's going to win? What do you guys think? It's not price gouging. Are you kidding me? The cost of making all this stuff, manufacturing goods, has gone up. It's not price gouging. Sometimes I think she does, and most of the time I don't think she knows. No, she's completely stupid. She's delusional. Yeah, made in Australia. Welcome. Harris thinks she'll win. Well, the fact that she thinks she could win shows that she's mentally unfit for office. And if Nancy Pelosi and the Democrat bosses, if they really were behind Kamala's victory, they would make her president now. It'd be very easy for them to push Biden out of the White House and have Kamala Harris as our president for 6 months. And she'd be running as the sitting president. But they haven't done that, and they're not going to do it. They could have done it when they got him to drop out of the race. They could have gotten him to drop out of the White House too, right? Well, the stock market is a projection of future situations, and the stock market is if you see the stock market doing well, that's because they think Trump's going to be back in a few months. Am I bald? No, I'm not bald. No, I'm not Tim Pool. No. I am not Tim Pool, who hides a bald head under a cap to look cool. No. No Show Joe. I like that one. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have a pretty solid majority in the House, no doubt about that. The Senate's harder to predict. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. We'll take over the Senate. I don't know by how much, but that's okay. We'll have JD there for tiebreaker votes. Miss Amy, I have no idea what that sentence you wrote means. Who's running the country right now? That's a good question. See, I don't subscribe that Obama's running it. I think that the country is being run by different factions, right? I think some people control the Pentagon, some people control the Treasury. The White House is out of the loop. There's nothing in the White House right now controlling anything. They're out. Jill was running the White House for a while, but not anymore because they're lame ducks. No, this is made in the USA. This MAGA hat, right there, made in the USA, made in USA, made in USA. That's right. There you go. Sorry. All the liberals have are untrue, vacuous talking points. Well, I'm surprised one of these liberals hasn't mentioned that boogeyman of Project 2025 yet. Kamala is smarter than Trump. Now, come on, Max. Not even liberals believe that. Mm-hmm. Well, I hope you're right, made in Australia. Frank and Jesse James is right. Yeah, sadly there's no one running the country. That's why the world's in chaos. That's why the economy is in such a bad state right now. Because we have no leadership. No one's running the country. That's the problem. You need to have someone running the country, and no one's running it right now. It's a big, big problem. I mean, golly, could you imagine? Here we're coming up on the 23rd sad anniversary of 9/11. If there was a 9/11 event now, I don't know how the country would respond because there's not a clear chain of command in the government right now. It's really scary. Mm-mm. Yeah, the country is really running on automatic pilot. That's it. Yeah. World War III could break out any minute in the Middle East or Europe. And how would the United States respond? We have really, the United States has no functioning government. I mean, as scary as that sounds, it's true. There is no functioning government in the United States. There will be when Trump's back in January, and then things will change. As soon as Trump becomes president-elect, I hope it's settled early on election night. I go to bed early on election night because I have to be up early to do the show the next morning. I hope it's settled early on election night so I can wake up, do a live stream at like 2, 3 in the morning, and Trump's president-elect again. As soon as Trump is president-elect again, the economy's going to take off. Totally take off. Mm-hmm. Running on autopilot. As crazy as that sounds. Mm-hmm. Oh, the deportations will happen. And it's going to be incredibly popular. Yeah, he'll have to shut down the border first, so they just can't run back in. But he'll be doing that on day one. He should skip the inaugural balls and parades and everything and just get right to work. We don't have time for parades. We only have 4 years, right? We only have one more term of Trump. He's got a lot to do. Mm-hmm. And then Kamala Harris and her weirdo husband can go back to California. I bet they end up divorced. I mean, that's a marriage of convenience. When her political life is over, why would they stay married? Oh, he did a lot for the border. Promises made, promises kept, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, it's happening, Creekwater. The mass deportations will happen. Mm-hmm. Why just one more term? Because that's the Constitution. Presidents can only have 2 terms. Constitution of the United States. So you can't bring back a 3rd presidential term. It would take a constitutional amendment, which is very difficult. So no, but he's done a very good job picking J.D. Vance as his successor. No doubt about that. Did you see him on the Sunday shows? Oh man, he's been doing great on these Sunday interview shows with these fake news liberal reporters. No, Trump was not trying to change that. Mm-mm. Oh, I can have a conversation, Tyler, but you haven't offered anything worthy of conversation. Oh, JD is very good, isn't he? Very, very good. Very smart. He doesn't let himself get boxed in. And I like on these interviews he did, like with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press this weekend, one thing he does, they'll read a quote that someone gave. And he'll give an opinion. I'm against that. I don't support that, or I do. But, what's the context of that quote, right? I don't know what context that was in. You just can't read a quote and expect someone to make an entire judgment on an issue or a person based on some quote, which may or may not be true because you can't trust the fake news. Roosevelt had 4 terms but they changed the Constitution after that. Before FDR, it was just tradition that presidents had 2 terms. But after FDR, he died in his 4th term. They passed a constitutional amendment limiting the presidency to 2 terms. That's, I would be fine with President Trump president for life, but that's not going to happen. Yes, it is 3:43 a.m. where I'm at. Oh, when JD went to Air Force 2, that was the biggest ballsy move I've ever seen a vice presidential candidate ever make. And I'm cannot wait until these debates. Someone mentioned Tulsi. What Trump is doing with Tulsi Gabbard is amazing. It's a psych op. Trump doesn't have to prepare with Tulsi Gabbard, but Tulsi Gabbard ran Kamala Harris out of the presidential campaign 4 years ago, and he's brought her on board as a debate prep opponent, as just to freak out Kamala, and she'll be there during the debate. She'll be sitting prominently with the Trump family and senior people, and he'll have her sitting in a place where Kamala Harris is going to see Tulsi Gabbard through the entire debate. It's to throw her off. It's just like when during right before that Hillary Clinton debate, when President Trump had the press conference with all of Bill Clinton's sex accusers. That was beautiful, Paula Jones and everybody. It's a similar thing as that. Pretty smart. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that was great, and it will definitely psych her out. She's afraid of Tulsi Gabbard. I imagine Kamala is pretty afraid of everybody. I mean, that's why she hasn't done an interview or a press conference. Lake and Riley's parents, yes, sitting right next to Tulsi Gabbard. That would be nice. That's a great idea. I'm curious to see what. By the way, if you're new to my channel, subscribe, guys. This is where MAGA comes to talk. You'll love my channel, I promise. But I'm very curious to see what Kamala's response is going to be when Trump brings up the rapes and murders of American women that she's responsible for, like Lincoln Riley. She is going to be destroyed. I wonder if Bobby Kennedy will be at the debate too. You think he'll be sitting there next to Tulsi? Who knows? Maybe. Kamala's a joke? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's really President Trump making a deal with RFK Jr. is such a big deal. Someone earlier, Shawna, had talked about, this art of the deal that he made. To have a senior Kennedy family member at a Republican presidential campaign event, especially a Trump one, that's almost impossible to do. And Trump did it. I mean, that's absolutely amazing. That's insane. I never even dreamed that something like that would happen. Who would think something like that? Right? Tulsi gets under Kamala's skin. Well, yeah, because she ran her out of the presidential race. In the last election, Kamala did well against Joe Biden in that first debate. I mean, she went up against an Alzheimer's patient and declares herself a victor. And she thought she was going to be the Dem nominee. Second debate, they bring in Tulsi, and Tulsi cleaned her clock, and that was it. They ran her out. His family thinks he's crazy. Well, whatever. He's the most prominent member of the Kennedy family. Carolyn Kennedy, she's a clown. And the rest of them, who even knows who they are, right? The only two Kennedys that matter are RFK Jr. and Carolyn Kennedy, right? Carolyn Kennedy's President Kennedy's daughter, but she's discredited herself by her stupidity. She's behind Mayor Pete, Carolyn Kennedy. Carolyn Kennedy wants Mayor Pete to be president. Robert Kennedy wants Trump to be president. Which one has their wits about them? Which one's a lunatic? It's Martin Luther King's niece is who you're thinking of. Barnes Homestead. Martin Luther King's children are weirdo lunatics. I mean, it's amazing. Who would you rather have as president, Mayor Pete or Donald Trump? Come on. Carolyn Kennedy wants Mayor Pete. Robert Kennedy Jr. wants Trump. Come on. Oh. Yeah, Mayor Pete, exactly. President of what? He's a complete Mayor Pete has the weakest cabinet position you could have, and he's failed at that. Right? Exactly. Now he's a weird looking guy too, and isn't he, Mayor Pete? He does look like Alfred E. Newman. JP, that's a good question. You never know. I don't know. Inquiry minds want to know, JP. I'm not a big fan of Tulsi Gabbard in general, but I like this psych op that she's running against Kamala. This team of rivals is a good thing. I keep hearing people say, I don't trust RFK. I don't trust RFK. Trump does, right? At least for this purpose. So you've got to trust in Trump. Trump knows better than we know about these things. He knows much more about what's going on than we know. Oh, I can't wait to vote for Trump again. I cannot wait. I got to vote for him in the primary, which was nice. Very exciting. Yeah, it's a power play. This is how you get things done. Oh, Kamala will definitely be thrown off by Tulsi Gabbard. See, Kamala gets thrown off easily anyway. That's why she's always giggling. She's drunk and high all the time because she has imposter syndrome. And, when she has to face the woman that ran her out of the race, that's not going to be easy for her to have to stare at Tulsi Gabbard for however long this debate is going to be. I don't know if it's going to be an hour or 2 hours or 90 minutes. I don't know if they've announced the length. An hour's not enough. And one debate's not enough. She's going to get creamed, Kamala. Just like Waltz is going to get creamed by J.D. Vance. Exactly. It's a nervous laugh. I think it's nervous, but I also think it's high and drunk laugh, too. Just my opinion, and I could be wrong. CRX Joe, $10 super chat. Thank you. Trump 2024. If not, this country is in serious trouble. Absolutely. CRX Joe, thanks for that super chat. I appreciate it. How's she going to get to her? Because, she was run out of the presidential campaign, Kamala, by Tulsi Gabbard. She feels insignificant around her. Tulsi Gabbard, she's afraid of Tulsi Gabbard because she humiliated her on television. And Kamala, who got to where she is through boyfriends and hookups like Willie Brown, is really intimidated by strong, smart women who have made it on their own. Yeah, so it will definitely throw her off. There's a lot of Trump quotes that he didn't say. He didn't say that about the Medal of Honor. These are all lies. Do you have audio of that? DM it to me on Twitter. I'll play it on the stream. hmm JP, not only did Tulsi destroy Kamala's campaign, that was a devastating blow because after that first debate, Kamala was on top of the world. She was already picking out the Oval Office curtains, and then boom, second debate she was out. hmm No, Trump didn't say it. There's a lot of fake quotes of Trump around. You know, calling the soldiers suckers. That's all lies. All these things that he grabs women by the pee. That's all. That's not true. You know. hmm If that's on audio, it's AI. All the mass deportations. That's a booming business. You might, if you're looking for a business to invest in, maybe. Although I don't give financial advice, I'm not a financial advisor, but maybe tour buses is a good way to go for the deportations. I know Trump didn't say those things. Trump never, one thing about Trump, okay, one thing about Trump, if you pay attention to him, Trump never says anything negative about the American people or voters. He attacks people that attack him and his opponents, but he never attacks voters ever. Unless if an individual comes out and attacks him, he'll respond to it, but he does not attack voters. He does not badmouth voters. The Democrats, on the other hand, they call people that oppose them racist, white supremacist, hate groups, all these things. All they do is attack people that don't vote for them. But Trump doesn't do that. And rarely does Trump go out and attack someone first. He usually waits for them to attack him first. hmm I know. Even Oprah. Oprah loved Donald Trump till he came down the escalator. I'm not going to do your research. I'm not going to do liberal troll research. Yeah, I showed this earlier. This hat is made in America. Yeah. Made in USA. That's right. There you go. Yeah, who cares what Oprah says anyway? It's been a long time since Oprah had influence. Those days are over. She doesn't know it because, she's famous. So everywhere she goes, people kiss her butt. But no one cares about Oprah anymore. I mean, how long ago did her show leave the air? If she had influence, her show would still be on, right? And her network failed. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's right. By the way, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. This is most definitely where MAGA comes to talk, right here on this channel. My next stream will be in just over 2 hours. I already have it set up. It's got RFK in the thumbnail. So when I end this stream, you can jump over there and join that stream. The chat's going, and you can chat over there until I go live at 6 a.m. Eastern. Oprah never really had influence over politics. People cared maybe about her books that she was recommending or something, but that was about it. Or Spanx. Nobody cared about what Oprah Winfrey had to say. CRX Joe, welcome, new subscriber. No one ever really cared what Oprah had to say about important things. But she doesn't know that. I bet she takes all those Trump tax cuts. What do you think? You think Oprah takes all those Trump tax cuts? I bet she does. Mm-hmm. I'm sure she does. All these rich Trump haters take the Trump tax cuts, believe me. All of them, even the Bushes. She is wealthy. She was wealthy, but she was wealthy when she became nationally famous. When she was local in Chicago, she was rich. She used to be a smart woman. Not so much anymore. Oprah Winfrey. Who cares? I mean, my goodness. You know, she sucks up to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Who cares about those two losers? Mm-hmm. Harris Waltz, pathetic. I mean, you know, there are 2 or 3 stories just came out yesterday showing he lied, right? About that Nebraska Chamber of Commerce. He lied about the CCP sponsoring his trips with kids to brainwash them in China. And there was a third one that came out over the weekend with him. I've forgotten. But there has not been a day since Tim Walz has been partnered with Willie Brown's girlfriend, Kamala Harris, that there's not been a new negative story about him. He is the worst vice presidential pick in history. He's most definitely a Chinese asset. And it goes to Kamala's judgment that she would choose someone like Tim Walz to be her running mate. Very dangerous. A Chinese asset and a San Francisco liberal who grew up in Canada, raised by 2 Marxists. Nope, Trump. I've never known Trump to lie. Carissa, never. What lies has Trump told? Do you know any lies that he's told? Mm-mm. The couch story is totally made up. This story about JD and the couch in his book, that's totally made up. That's not in his book. Totally fake. Some liberal trolls made that whole thing up. That's what the left do. Make up lies. That's what they do. That's what they'll always do. They've got nothing else. No, it's not. I know you would like it to be, but it's not. He didn't lie about the wall. It's there. It was almost done. But, you know, Paul Ryan, Pelosi, and Schumer held up as much as they could. He didn't lie about the wall. You tell yourself it's a true story. It's not. Mm-mm. The definition of lying by the left is, I love how they all of a sudden they think lying is a problem. Not that Trump lies, because he doesn't. But the Democrats do nothing but lie. Right? I mean, let me ask you, yes or no? Do you think the Democrats want to end the war between Russia and Ukraine? I say no. They're making too much money off of it. Mexico did pay for the wall. I'm glad you mentioned that. Mexico did pay for the wall. President Trump renegotiated the trade deal between the United States and Mexico, right? We had NAFTA. He negotiated a new deal that what was it called? It sounded like YMC. I forgot the name of the new trade deal that replaced NAFTA. But when President Trump renegotiated our trade deal with Mexico, that's how they paid for the wall. They weren't going to actually write a check and then write in the memo for the wall, for the Great Wall of Trump. Renegotiating the trade deal is how we got Mexico to pay for the wall. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he got Mexico to protect their northern border, remain in Mexico. Mm-hmm. Well, you know they're running out of things. We've shot down all their liberal talking points when they're talking about my microphone. This is a DJI mic. It's a good mic. This is the industry standard. DJI mic. Mm-hmm. So, no, Mexico did pay for the wall. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. China, Tim Walz. Exactly. Mm-hmm. speculating about who Kamala had sex with. No, she's just, I mean, you look at her on television. Does she seem like a competent, serious person? I don't think so. Well, listen, guys, I got to finish getting ready for work. So I'll see you on the next stream in about 2 hours. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. My name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll see you on the next stream in a couple hours.